Oh, welcome everyone to this episode of All the Good Titles Were Taken. I am your host, Drunken Emerald Arrow. How you doing today? We're almost to Friday. Can't believe it. We're almost to the weekend. But welcome to the show that starts on time, because if we are late, it's my own damn fault, because this is my solo show. This is where I just watch videos and react to the videos. But tonight we are going to watch, because I've been enjoying Financial Audit with Caleb Hammer. And his crash outs are some of the greatest stuff to actually watch. Especially just to see the financial ignorance that is really running rampant in this country. And I'm not going to say that I'm a financial genius at all. Not in the least. I've made my own mistakes when it comes to financing, but I've made moves to improve those things. I mean, my credit score, if I just get the remainder of my little bit that's left on my credit card paid off, I'm going to be over a credit score of over 800. So, I mean, doing something at least a little bit right when it comes to the credit score side of things and actually have savings built up. Things I'm making moves and stuff as much as I can to position myself better for the future. But this, I think, is a failure of the educational system, not actually teaching what people need to know about financing, how banks work, how credit works, how loans work. The basic stuff that really, I think, should be a course in high school, whether for like money management. I will say that, you know, overall, college loans, they are predatory, but it isn't just the loans themselves that's predatory. It's the entire educational system post high school. When it comes to universities, it is completely predatory. And the fact that the loans are backed by the federal government means that these institutions are going to get their money. It doesn't matter if the student never pays it back. And so it puts them already at a disadvantage. Not to mention the idiots are picking degrees upon which they're never going to actually recoup, because they're never going to actually use that degree that they went to school for in the first place. So then afterward, we're going to, after the Caleb Hammer 30 minutes of Caleb Hammer's crash outs, then we're going to do one. Yes, it is an AI voice. I understand that, but it's reading like a post from Reddit or whatever. I've been getting down this rabbit hole of watching these, and they make my blood boil, because I'm looking at this from, now granted, it's the person saying the story, and just listening to the words that they're using and how they're explaining it. And if these are true, how these bosses don't fire these individuals well before it gets to the extremes that I've seen so far. So we'll watch that video towards the end, but we will say, let's see, Mr. Scott, awesome. How you doing this evening? What's on the menu tonight? Caleb Hammer crash outs and feminist Reddit post. That's what's on the menu tonight. So let's bring up Mr. Hammer. This is coming from Caleb Hammer Clips fan channel. The link is in the description for the show. So let's get on with it, shall we? Because Caleb Hammer, some of his crash outs, I swear, are some of the most hilarious crash outs. But the guy, a lot of people are trying to pigeonhole him as right wing. I think he's just a center guy. I don't think he's right wing. I don't think he's left wing. If anything, I'd almost classify him more as a classic liberal, in the sense of like a 90s liberal. He is, I think, financially conservative, but socially more liberal. But is, with plenty of his comments, definitely is anti-woke. So let's get it on.
Okay, so you owe $150.
I did pay that. But then I took out the $300 that they offered me today.
Ladies, what the are we doing? I just don't know why. What the why have you done these things? You're coming on the show today. You're coming on the fucking show today.
I need a little bit of gas money.
So she paid off a high interest like payday loan, but because they're like, well, if you take more, we'll give it to you today, and then she see again, it really does come down to financial money handling, money responsibility, responsible spending just isn't taught. That I think is a problem. And usually in my case, you learn it from parents. Again, I think this should be a course that should be a high school requirement for graduation is money management from the aspect of a household. A lot of people, though, I've learned it from my parents. But unfortunately, this younger generation's learning from their parents, and their parents don't have a fucking clue about it either. Yeah, you want to know what? As soon as it pops up, I saw that. The more I see the guy, the more scripted, semi-rehearsed they seem. I will say sometimes I almost think he kind of does have a repertoire of these things, of what he says. But still, hey, you want to know what? They're still hilarious.
We would have given you gas money. At that point, no, you bought things at Buc-ee's. Listen, we know your entire existence. You're a liar. A liar. You are a liar. Liar, liar, liar.
I almost think when it comes to this show a little bit, it's almost like Horrors Say What, the Whatever podcast, but with money. Especially out of some of these I've seen. Yeah, they're a somewhat reality, but you look, the restraint that a lot of these individuals have that are sitting across from Caleb when he's doing that stuff, and they're not screaming at him and not lashing out. Yeah. It's guess response to that question more. Yep. The just kind of sitting there. Not really pushing back as much and willing to take it because I've seen plenty. Yeah.
Matching Bronco t-shirts for you
me
and
my
your mom.
Yeah. They were super cute. I don't know what
Shut the
else.
fuck up. Okay. $600 cash app that she took out the day of filming Financial Audit.
Though, to be perfectly honest, though, and yeah, the scripted side of it, maybe you bring up a good point, Mr. Scott Awesome, is the whole point. Yep, you got you got it with the restraint. Yeah, but they do prep work prior to the show being filmed. Caleb doesn't know. He comes in a little bit more blind, supposedly. He comes in blind to the situation. He just gets the paperwork. He looks at it. He does the backstory back. But his staff interviews beforehand, and I would not be surprised if they're kind of coaching him, going, whatever he says, you can't freak out. You can't get up. You can't do this. And it's probably part of the contract of being paid to be on the show because there's no way that they're doing this for free. I have a feeling they're getting something monetarily back for being on the show. I can't confirm that. So I'm putting this as I believe and I suspect that's the case, or it's the fact that there's an agreement contract that is being signed to come on the show, which is helping with their actual problems more than just giving them here's the roadmap to fix it. They're actually giving them additional training, more financial literacy that we just don't see. I do know, I believe he does do check-ins, but The check-ins that he does is behind the paywall if you're a member.
Oh, I need a moment. I need a moment. Oh. I need a moment. Oh. Your child because you are dedicated to homeschooling them, then you can't afford to. This is basic.
I can afford not to. It's worth any price to take care of my kid.
Oh my.
If you have a kid one day, you might understand.
Yeah, and
are
guess
you married
what?
yet?
I am not, but guess what? I've seen a lot of people on this show, and this is where you're headed, that you're so proud of for some reason, where their entire life, your kid is going to be on hold because their failure and joke of a dad while they're trying to live their
Nervous drink.
life, never did anything in their entire life, their dad's life. So all of a sudden, your kid has to put their life on hold to take care of their failure dad. That's where you're going. That's just a mathematical reality.
Well, isn't it the point of having kids so that they can financially take care of you once you get older? No, I don't believe that. I think that is a case for some people that they get to that situation because, again, they may have a retirement, they may get older, but with inflation and everything else, the cost of living doesn't go up for those that have to live off of Social Security. That, yeah, I mean, not everyone is well enough when it gets to retirement, but I'm going to go to the Bible on this one. There's no retirement in the Bible. That is not a word that's in scripture. This idea of retirement is more of a modern thought. Work until you're 65 and then retire. Most people work their entire lives. I expect to and plan to work my entire life. I don't expect to retire because I've gone through like bouts of unemployment in the past, and I even though I have cash reserves and stuff like that, while I was job hunting, I could have gone and taken trips. I got bored. I was unsatisfied. And it's just like, I could see that that's retirement. So when I say that I expect to work my entire life, it doesn't mean that a full-time work. Just at a certain point, maybe get a part-time job or find something that I can do just some of the time that I don't have to be there full-time. Working full-time my entire life? No, that's not the case.
You don't need to have had a kid to know that.
That's not going to happen.
Fuck you, that's not going to happen. Look at your finances now. You're in your mid-30s. You're acting like a 12-year-old. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a baby. Shut up. What a joke. That's not going to happen. You don't know anything.
That's not.
You're not even living like.
Yeah. And this guest, he's kind of smiling. But again, it could be like Gomer Pyle from Full Metal Jacket. The whole point that Hartman is laying into him, and he's just can't get the smile off his face. Nervous body language.
Life as an adult in 34. You couldn't successfully complete a marriage. You can't successfully complete holding a
I was
job.
married for 12 years.
And guess what? You're not. You couldn't successfully.
Hell, Jerry, how are you doing this evening?
Complete holding a job for more than 6 months. You couldn't work in a kitchen. You can't go and sit across a desk from someone without having to sit in a house for a week. You're a child. You're incapable of existing in this world and doing all this stuff that you want to do. And just like, by the way, your kid, you want to homeschool your kid. All this stuff that you are choosing is going to put you in a position where they're going to have to put their life on hold to take care of their joke of a dad. That is your choice, and it's honestly a disgusting choice. What are we doing here?
You're supposed to help us.
In what way? I'm not a magic pill. Buddy, if I say, hey, maybe you can't do a luxurious vacation once a month, and that's why you're in debt.
Okay, first of all, it's not even once a month.
Shut the fuck up. If I just give literally the most basic thing and tell you to cut out.
The one thing I've learned from actually watching this show and all this, the evil that is the Disney adult looking at the spending of these Disney adults willing to put themselves in financial trouble because they have to have their yearly trip to Disneyland or Disney World. I can understand having something that you enjoy, a hobby or something like that. Disney adults creep me the fuck out. Especially when you see like clips of the Disney adults, and it's like to be an adult and like comics is fine. To like and collect action figures is fine. If you're sitting there still playing with your action figures I think you might have had stunted development. You can like video games. You're just still not playing the ones that you did when you were like 6. You're playing more adult video games, which is fine. Red Dead Redemption 2, Skyrim, football games, those type of things. Liking Star Trek, going to cons, meeting people that enjoy the same things that you enjoy is fine. But the level of cringe with Disney adults, and these Disney adults most times are either unmarried or are childless. I still don't even know how to fully even classify like Universal Studio. It's not quite the same, but still to be an adult just going to a theme park is a hard one for me. I'm good. Just quick by watching Daredevil on Common Nerd's channel. Enjoy. Yep, Common Nerd's going on right now. And I'll see you later. Take it easy, Jerry.
The most expensive thing that maybe you do once a year instead, Max, which I wouldn't even do. I'd get out of fucking debt. Then maybe you'd be willing to cut that back. So I don't know what the is going on here. This is so stupid. This is so stupid already. So dumb. This is the first card. You have to be receptive. If you're sitting at this table, you have to be receptive, or I'm.
My question is when I've been watching these too, is just seeing some of these individuals that are on here having either a lot of credit cards or a lot of debt on credit cards, and just having such a huge limit on their cards. Based on what they're making, I don't know how they even get that high of a limit to begin with. I mean, I just recently passed like 83,000 a year ish. And I find it amazing. Yeah, around, I give or take. But I only have one credit card, and of that one credit card, I think I now have a limit of like 15,000. But that's slowly been just kind of incrementally going up. A lot of these people seem to only have had the credit card for a couple years, and they're getting already this high limit. I'm curious as how that even happens. If anything, I think it's more irresponsibility of the credit card companies, but they're making money because they're making minimum payments. So they're earning on all this interest. That's why I'm actually for Trump capping interest rates on credit cards. I'm fine with that. I granted it is free market interference, but it's a credit card bubble that is happening right now because of the amount of debt. Now, granted, these are the choices that people make, is the decisions that they're making to be financially irresponsible. But eventually people are not going to be able to pay, and they're just going to stop. And it's going to, in the long run, hurt everyone else in the process.
I'm not fucking filming.
I am receptive. I just don't agree with your logic.
Please explain.
I mean, you know, everybody has debt.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Everybody has debt.
No!
And we're just not gonna go see the world.
Yes!
And not go travel just because credit cards have to be.
Am I the only one noticing she's not wearing a bra and I'm seeing underboob? Am I the only one that's noticing that?
Hey.
Oh my!
You have to go make memories. You have to go make memories. What are you gonna do? Just stay in your house and fucking work all the time?
No, you
literally.
Oh my gosh, buddy.
Is that what you do? Is that where you're just so miserable all the time?
Well, yes, I am building a business here, so I do put in more work than you've ever put in your entire life, but I also have results to show for it, and you have nothing to show for it. But also,
and that's the other thing too, people needing to, and again, I think this is a result of Instagram and TikTok, people putting out all of these, and then this is why I hate influencers when it comes to this type of thing, is they're showing all these extravagant trips and things that they're buying and stuff. And people then look at that going, I want that. And instead of being able to actually afford that stuff, they're going and putting it on credit card and building up debt so that they can try to imitate those lifestyles, which most of those influencers are lying. There's been so many that have come out going, yeah, they don't own those cars. They're just renting them for a couple days, or they're not living and don't own this huge place. They're just renting it for a short period of time. So these influencers are even lying to you. It's like, stop listening to influencers. They're going to lead you down the wrong path, because really overall they're being pumped up by someone else, and on top of that, they're being pumped up by idiots that are sitting there watching them thinking that they can have that same lifestyle. Not everyone is going to have that same lifestyle. I live in a small little studio apartment because I'm paying off little debt that I have. I'm trying to save as much money as I can for me to turn around and buy a place. And now that I'm looking at everything with my savings, with my debt that's come down and stuff, I'm looking at how much of a place I can afford. Again, being financially responsible, knowing for the long term what I want. The influencers doing these extravagant cruises and things and buying this luxury crap, if you live modestly and don't spend your money on that stuff, you can still take trips and vacations. It's called the great outdoors. We live in a country that is wide and expansive, and it's not that expensive to rent an RV and then go camping, or go old school and camp in a tent for a weekend. Get away from technology, get away from all that stuff, and just be out there in nature and enjoy the earth. It's the same thing, the theory of touching grass.
At the same time, because of that, I could retire right now and actually go see the world without going in debt, because I put in the time, I put in the work, I put in the effort, the mental energy, the stress, the zits. Instead, your next vacation will be living under a bridge and you won't be leaving there. Most content that people produce on YouTube is fun.
Oh, we're back to her?
Yeah. Why weren't we a gaming channel? Why weren't we a food channel? Why weren't we a Graham Stephan talk at the camera for 8 minutes channel? Why'd we have to be financial audit? Why'd we have to be financial audit?
Well, in your case, Caleb, it's because anyone that doesn't understand or doesn't know the history of Caleb Hammer, music major, graduated from a college in Michigan, I believe, in either like music education, music business, something like that. Ran up a whole lot of debt, lived irresponsibly, but then got financially educated, started paying down his debts, and he took what he learned through research, through study, got rid of his debt, and found a way that can help other people. And then that's granted that he does push that, because it's the same thing with other financial individuals. They do have courses and stuff like that. But I mean, they have planning apps that he's developed. So, I mean, it's a business model. He's created a business. That's why he's doing this show, not doing a cooking show, not doing a game show, but it being entertaining at least.
I'm sorry. Gosh, I just really fucking hate this. It flows through my bones.
I remember taking it out. I just don't remember what it was for.
And also, I think he intentionally hams it up for the camera. It's clearly obvious. Because, again, if this was just a straight, okay, what's your debt? Okay, how did you do that? Okay, that's irresponsible. It'd be too boring, I think. I think it's because he is acting for the camera, so he is playing it up a bit. Though I bet the frustration is really, I bet there is frustration there because he realizes too, as I have, is just the lack of financial education that actually is happening with Americans. We went from a culture that came out of the Great Depression, watching everything that we spent, made sure we were responsible with the stuff, to the consumer side that we are. And now, and everyone's just spending, but they are taking their cues from the government and spending outside their means and continue to rack up debt. I mean, you can't have the government say, well, you don't need to live within your means. Well, the government doesn't live within their own means and refuse to.
They started garnishing your wages from this loan?
Yes.
You gave them access to your account?
Yeah.
You gave them access to your account? This isn't a government. They can't just garnish unless you give access. I'm sweating so much. And this is so. You don't understand. Listen, you're at this point. Listen. Actually, do I have empathy for you and how you do things? Boop boop. Bye bye. You're $70,000 in 8 months. That's spending. F you.
Well, $70,000 in 8 months, our spending has skyrocketed because we also moved in after we got married because we're not allowed to live together before we got married.
No, I moved into a place. That means I have to spend $70,000 in 8. What are you talking about, dude?
A lot of our expenses were with her not having a job. We have to put on credit cards.
$70,000. That is you living above your means. You do not need to live on $70,000 in 8 months. That we are talking at that point. You are living off of $110,000 a year. That is, you are not making that up with an income. What are you talking about?
A lot of this stuff over the past year are one-time purchases that are not going to be made in subsequent years.
And you need them to survive.
One-time purchases.
And you need them to survive.
One-time purchases.
And you need them to survive.
This is what I'm talking about. One-time purchases.
To survive.
That are not going
to... one-time purchase. What's a one-time purchase? Yeah, one-time purchases add up, but still, he's making a point. $70,000 on credit cards, and that's what his current balance is for debt after 8 months for the two of them. I mean, that's more than most people's minimum wages for an entire year.
be made in 2025.
Doesn't matter. You needed them to survive.
So our spending our spending is going to go down because of those one-time purchases are no longer on the budget.
Works. Listen. Next year, maybe you'll want to buy a chin. I don't know what's going to happen. At some point, everything gets pushed. You will find a replacement for that spending. The spending that you did last year that are one-time, you're going to find one-time purchases next year. I only have 4 of these conversations a week. That's it. For 3 years.
You're saying my position is the same as everybody else's position and that I'm not unique in any way, so why would I be on this podcast in the first place?
Yeah, basically, because essentially everyone that comes on the show, trust me, I've heard that this show...
Just because our spending was bad in the last 12 months does not mean it's going to be bad in the subsequent 12 months or the 12 months after that.
Behavior just changes because we wake up one day?
We are here to get our behavior changed and look at what we need to change.
I don't change behavior. I will give you advice of what you should and should not do.
And that advice will help our behavior.
If you follow it.
Yes, that's what we want to do is follow it. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Okay, fucking bingo. Got it. Ding, ding, ding. Buddy, everyone says that. Again, you think you're unique? You're saying exactly what everyone says every single time.
Okay, I'm here to get help. If I didn't want help, I would not be here.
Then maybe you should fucking listen instead of interjecting. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Interject.
No, go ahead.
There it is. Okay, your one-time purchases that you did.
His constant interjecting when he's trying to talk to him. She's very reserved, very calm, but it's because she's being just kind of staying out of the way. He definitely seems like he's the talker of the group of the two of them, But again, we would have to see the entire episode to see if that's how the entire thing went.
Last year, you will have one-time purchases for the rest of your life. This is what happens every single time. And even still, she did not have a job since the middle of last year, since after the middle of last year, and you guys chose to live on $120,000. Even if they're one-time purchases, I don't give a you chose to live off of $120,000 a year when you barely make scraps. So I don't give a if they're one-time purchases. You chose that.
So how about we go into the finances and look what we can fix?
Buddy, it's a fix. Here's a fix. Let me give you a little fix. This will solve your entire issue, and we can fast forward instead of doing an hour and a half. Here's a fix. Don't spend $120,000 in a year, you dumb ass. Make it
Yeah. Mr. Scott Awesome. Yeah. Seems like a gay aggressive dude. Yeah. Caleb is kind of making a good point. I mean, if she's unemployed and they're both feeding off of one income, then you cut back. Look at the things that you don't need to be able to live off of that single income until she can actually add and contribute to the income. In other words, I would not be surprised if they've got every single kind of subscription that you can have. Disney Plus, because I get like Disney adult vibes off that dude. But like Paramount Plus and HBO, all the streaming services he's paying for. So, well, you can't afford it. Stop paying for it. Instead, and I again, I'm a big advocate for physical media. You can go to your local Walmart and there's a bin, $5 DVDs. Pawn shops have DVDs for sale at like $2 a DVD. You can go and get some movies you haven't seen before and you can rewatch them. A one-time purchase. You get a few of those and you stop doing the streaming services. If you're going to do a streaming service, do something that is free. Pluto TV, Tubi. There's free streaming services out there to watch that you don't have to pay for. Yes, they have ads, but most of the plans now of these streamers have advertisements on them. So, and you're still paying. I think that was the biggest trick they could have done to everyone. Get them to cut the cord on cable, because they did, and now people are spending more than they used to for cable with having every subscription. And that's at like base level, the lowest. I think they did a comparison. If you were to subscribe to every single one of them, Apple TV, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, if you subscribe to all of them, even at base level, if you add them all up for the month, it's more than what the average cable bill was prior. Yet people were cutting the cord because of cable bills.
$30,000. How much went out?
I'm telling you, probably like $65,000, $7,000.
That doesn't make sense. You just told me the household expenditures are $7,000.
Well, you're supposed to make it make sense.
You said you went on a trip.
We did, and it was great.
Okay, that would probably mean the money went out is more than just your household expenses. So how much do you think went out? How much do you think went out? How much do you think went out?
$10,000.
Okay. Where did it go?
To the trip I just told
Where'd you go?
To the Philippines.
You know you can't afford to go out, right? You know you can't afford to.
Whoa. That was a Caleb Hammer I was not expecting. A little bit younger. A little bit more clean shaven.
Buy any designer clothes. You know you cannot afford to go to anything but great clubs. You know you cannot afford to go out to eat at all, right? To be very clear, not a single time.
I'm speechless.
Do you know you cannot afford that though?
I get my lot. I feel like it saves me so much time though, so I can work on my business.
Work on your How many hours a day are you working?
It depends. And now
Average.
I'm doing more things
Give
now.
me average.
An average
How many days or hours a day are you working?
5.
Then you don't have time. That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, I'm digging into you, but that's dumb. That's dumb, and you need to know that's dumb. That's why I'm being rough. 5 hours a day? Oh, poor me, I'm working 5 hours a day and I can't cook. What do you mean it saves you time?
Hey, where do you think your score would be financially? 0 to 10, 0 being the worst, 10 being the best. 10 is a number, so 0. You can give 10 numbers in between there.
5. 5.
Have you seen this show?
Yes, I've seen the show all the time, actually. You're welcome.
Were you closing your ears and eyes while it was playing near you? You think you're a 5? This
Yes.
is the one of the biggest stacks of. Okay, guys, if you want your hammer financial score, you're not a fucking moron. Sorry.
You literally spent more money.
I wouldn't even say I'm a 5. I probably, if I really were to break down and do his little assessment, I would say probably a 3 or 4. I probably could improve my own financial footing by probably being a little bit more responsible and maybe getting some investments more than I have. But I mean, just listening to the fact that the little clips we saw previous of hers, there's no way she's a 5. If anything, she's probably got a 1 or a 2, and that's being extremely generous. I'm going to have to go back and find that episode to actually see how bad it actually is for her.
This last month and came in. So that does not make sense. That is not lining up with the literal reality of your situation.
Yeah. Well,
So what are you talking about?
I mean,
Obviously something is different there than you are expressing.
no, it's not different. I pay all my bills.
Yeah, your bills. What do you mean by bills? Are you just talking about like the minimum monthly payments on things that are required?
No. I've paid off my credit cards to a certain degree.
There's a couple credit cards that get some payments, and there's some credit cards that are getting.
Kind of. But I'm working on it. It's not like I'm just not paying them. Everything gets a payment.
Yeah, like a minimum monthly. Is that what?
It is interesting to listen to some of these people when they're talking about their credit cards and how much they have on it. And then it's like, well, okay, do you know how long? If you don't spend on it anymore and you pay minimum balance, do you know how long you're going to be paying that credit card off? Again, this is kind of a bit of a predatory nature of the credit card system in itself. And why, well, I know what, there's a lot of politicians that are just having their backs scratched by the credit card company. So of course there's never going to be any kind of reform to it. It is a free market system. If people want to sit there and borrow it, go right ahead. But when you have interest rates at like 29%, you don't pay on your credit. You don't spend any more on your credit card. You have it maxed out. The amount of times where it's like at minimum balance, it'll take you 19 years to pay it completely off. 19 years to pay it off at minimum. 10 more years, and that's a 30-year mortgage. You could be putting and spending on and actually accruing some kind of wealth and some kind of equity. This is, I think, the younger generation wants to sit here and keep blaming boomers for everything, and I think that's a cop-out. A lot of it, yes, sure. The older generation we always blame the older generation for the shortfalls. That's just reaction. It's always happened. But it's the financial irresponsibility of the younger generation that's not looking to actually accrue anything for the long term. These Disney trips and everything else, they're doing it to themselves.
Like $100. Every card gets at least $100.
Okay, if the bills are paid before we close the books, why? How are we spending more than is coming in? I'm trying to understand this from your perspective.
Shop and I travel.
Okay, why isn't that tracked? Why are we tracking our bills but we're not tracking our spending?
and that's a lot of times that I've seen on these shows too, is that they keep talking about trips, taking these trips. It's like, well, if you're having to put yourself in debt to go on a trip, then you shouldn't be taking the trip. I understand using credit cards and stuff like that while traveling for the security aspect of it. But if you can't turn around and then pay it off within the next, I'll give you like 3 months, then you shouldn't go on the trip. Too many people are hurting themselves by constantly traveling.
I don't know. Because if I
Oh, no, well, got to say hello to Lieutenant Garatina. Greetings.
track it, then I probably won't do it anymore.
Isn't that a good thing? Isn't that what gets us to the best place?
Yeah.
Realting's a very interesting profession in the fact that, again, like you said at the beginning, you don't get paid unless you make a big sale. So if you're not doing anything or helping someone find a place as well, I know some of it with commission is kind of changed up recently, but either way, whatever. You don't get paid unless you get paid. It's not an ongoing bi-weekly payment. Okay, wonderful. With that, you would want to be basically debt-free to have no risk hanging over your head as you're in a more risky job situation. You'd want a fully funded emergency fund to be able to cover yourself, probably about 12 months actually, as like a business owner, which you are your kind of own business.
Yeah, but technically I don't spend out of my bank account. I only spend on credit cards.
You understand you have to pay the credit cards.
Yeah, and I do. I pay them. So
Not off.
So in the beginning of the month, I track my monthly bills out of my bank account, and then I only spend on a credit card. So I don't
Credit cards are fine to put your bills on, especially if they're like a reoccurring bill. But, and that's because a lot of reoccurring bills are in the database and stuff like that. And yes, credit cards have better protection for if it's compromised. Credit card companies are in a better position than, let's say, a bank or a credit union to get it back. On top of that, using your bank card or a credit or a debit card to pay for online stuff is, I think, unwise, because you get your card number stolen and then used. That's real money, and it's harder to recoup that money, even if it's been determined that it was a fraudulent purchase through some kind of theft of the card. But again, that's actually your money that they're messing around with. And if you don't put security things in place, they could end up wiping your entire bank account out. So online, I would recommend either you get a prepaid debit card. Personally, I should say that. Personally, I would either get a prepaid debit card, use that for online purchases, or use a credit card. But if you're going to use a credit card to do that, you got to pay it off immediately. Otherwise, you're going to pay much more. It's almost like putting it on a loan. It's like Klarna. You're going to pay more in the long term over the actual value of what you are buying or you're paying for. So if you're going to put, and this is, I think, what a lot of people have problems with, is they go and get these reoccurring bills. They stop remembering they have these reoccurring bills. Your balance keeps going up. You're just paying minimum, or you're just paying what you think is going to cover it. And yet your balance still keeps going up. And I've had friends that have done this. I know of a few people that forget about the subscriptions they have. Their credit card just keeps going up, and they don't know why, because they've forgotten completely about it. Now, Capital One does a very good job a little bit. I'm not praising Capital One because, again, it's a credit card company, but their app will show you upcoming reoccurring bills. If you pay attention to their app and you can see, oh, crap, that's still on there, and then you can go and cancel it. So, I mean, if you have a credit card with a company, see if they have an app, track that stuff, pay attention. And if you see something that's coming out and being charged to you, cancel it if you're not using it.
Don't put back on your credit card what you spend.
Let's see. I've been having trouble getting one of my credit cards to work this week, but Google has added some kind of algorithm, has made it more difficult to activate. Yeah.
on it.
I know.
So it doesn't work like that. What is your philosophy on this?
Well, I don't really have a philosophy.
Tell me your
I'm
reasoning, because
working-
there was at least a half a thought that made you go into that.
Because I thought that, honestly, I just like to spend money. So
I get it, but your reasoning behind the credit card versus the bank account.
well, they're rewards credit cards, and they don't all have interest. So the
A
ones,
couple are interest free right
Okay, this isn't going to come off sexist, but repeal the 19th and women aren't allowed to have credit cards. I like to spend. I like to spend. I know that comes off as sexist. I don't care. Oh, geez. Of course, I'm against universal suffrage. I think unless you have actual skin in the game, you should be allowed to vote. If you don't have actual skin in the game, then I don't think you should be allowed to vote. And again, that means landowners. And that's actual citizens, not corporations. So granted, me not owning any land, I understand that in the long run, I lose my right to vote. But again, I'm not a landowner. So I don't care. I would rather it be to landowners, those that actually own property. They have skin in the game. I think they should be the ones that actually vote. If you don't like that, then start saving money. Stop spending because you like to spend, and buy some property eventually. Because in all technicalities, you buy a small little plot that you own. Well, then you own land, and then you can vote.
now. Yes.
Yeah, and they'll be paid off before the
Says
interest-
what? They're going up. What are you talking about? It's confident. There also is card accruing interest.
But those don't have big balances.
But it's still accruing interest, showing that you are not able to manage paying off a card before interest starts accruing, because we have credit cards accruing interest.
I just want to spend on credit cards
No.
so I don't have to pay out of the bank account.
Oh my gosh. Yes, okay. Interesting philosophy. Yeah, it was $25,000.
What's $25,000?
That's the number that was spent. That's what went out
Last month?
last month.
No. We don't even make that much money. What do you? No.
That's the point. That's
Somebody-
the conversation we're having.
Somebody miscalculated.
What are you on here for? What are you on the show for?
To fix finances, Caleb, and to save my marriage before
Then why
it's
the f-
doomed.
did you just say that? Because that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Because there's no way we don't even make that much money a month.
That's the point. You're in debt.
I will say that is, I think, the biggest problem. Again, it's failure of the leadership of the federal government when they can just print more money, so they allow or just take out more debt leveraged against our GDP and everything else. And so the average citizen sees that, and unfortunately, they look at them as being leaders, and that they think of them as mommy and daddy, which you shouldn't, because government is not your parents. But they see that being financially irresponsible, and it translates down to a lot of people. And the amount of people that are spending outside their means, they're spending more money than they bring in a month. I can understand it back with high inflation to be able to pay for food. Yeah, you had to get into reserves. And yes, your outflow of cash was greater than your inflow for a very short period of time because of situational. That's the reason why Caleb talks about having an emergency fund saved up. That's part of an emergency fund. But a lot of these that I've seen, just they constantly are spending outside their means and spending more than they're bringing in. And then paying minimal payment on their credit cards. So they're just staying in a debt cycle. Instead of making food at home, they're still Uber eating everything. Or going out to restaurants. Very inexpensive compared to eating out every night to just buy something and make it in bulk. Yeah, you might get a little sick of it, but you make it in bulk, then you have it and freeze it or just put it in the fridge. And on days that you're busy and don't have a lot of time for meal prep, then you can take it out and reheat the damn thing.
You put more on debt. Your debt went up.
You mean like on credit cards?
That is a debt. What kind of person did you guys find? I'm concerned
Okay,
that
help me
she
out
doesn't
here.
have no. I'm concerned she doesn't have the mental bandwidth for a conversation involving numbers. That's like credit cards. Yes, like credit cards. Are you kidding me right now? What are we talking about?
Well, because you asked how much came in and then you asked how much went out. So I thought
Are
you
you
meant like
pranking me
checking
or
account.
are you stupid? We're just starting with like a fucking insane balance. Oh, we do spend $25,000 a month somehow.
We
Crazy.
don't.
Shut the fuck up. Yes, you do. That's literally what you do.
On
So-
what?
I think we're going to find out. Something tells me you've seen the show before that we might find out. Starting now. $31.42 of purchases. You're at the credit limit. What is the fee possibly? What is the fucking fee possibly? What is the fee for?
Late payment? I don't know. Of
Great. Oh my gosh. So nonsense. You don't give a you don't care.
Of course I care. That's why I'm here.
I don't. That's why I'm here. Great. I can't tell. I can't get in your brain. You're sassy, then you say you're not. You're defensive, then you say you're not. And it's just like, I don't understand.
I'm trying to tell you why
Yet
these
there's
things...
a nice part of your personality. Yet there's an aggressive cheater. Yet I don't understand what you are. I might not know how to get through to you. I can get through to most people. I don't know. You're an enigma. By accumulating just on the first card alone over $10,000, you'd have to make multiple months to pay that off,
that was
including
from
paying your bills and 2
consolidating.
mortgages.
That was from consolidating my other cards.
There's a lot of spending on here. There's a lot of spending on here. It's not just consolidation.
Like 6,000 of it is consolidation.
I thought so. I don't give a fuck. So a double or half of it is.
And on top of that, I'm pretty sure too, debt consolidation in itself is also kind of in the predatory aspect of things, because again, they're playing off the desperation of individuals for debt refinancing. I think that's kind of predatory too. Instead of maybe some of these people just need to bite the bullet, declare and file for bankruptcy, reset, take that 7-year hit, and start actually rebuilding. Too many times I've seen stories of people refinancing their debt, and instead of paying that debt off to get themselves righted, it gets consolidated to one payment, reduced down, and instead of changing the behavior of stopping the spending, they just continue to spend like nothing happened, leaving them in an even worse situation in the long run. So it's like, why do debt consolidation if you're just going to get your payments reduced some, get it combined into one payment, but then go back and then go to spend more than you're making in, and you're not even paying that debt off? Just the stupidity of people. Again, I think I don't know if it's a choice to be this stupid at times, or it's ignorance of, it's, again, I said this earlier, the financial idiocy, the uneducated individuals when it comes to finance. There's no financial literacy in this country. There's very few that have it. And a lot of times, most of the people that become financially literate through these things come out on the other side in a better situation and have changed behaviors. A lot of these people that I've seen be on this show, it seems like they're not going to change their behaviors. They'll give them the tools necessary, but behaviors are just like anything, depending on what you eat, any addictions you may have, that type of stuff. If you don't make the effort, you don't want to change, you're not going to change your behavior. So them going on this show, it really doesn't matter unless they actually want to change the behavior and actually work towards it and start breaking the bad habits and start making new good habits. They're never going to get out of this quagmire that they put themselves in, because they're just going to fall back to it. You want to quit smoking? You've got to actually want to quit smoking. You can't do it for someone else. You need to do it for yourself, or you're going to fail. You actually have to want to. You want to cut back on caffeine. You want to get caffeine out of your life. It's the same thing. You got to break the habit of that morning cup of coffee that then starts your entire day. Those that need to have that Starbucks every single morning, brew it at home. Well, you want that with creamer and everything, then buy creamer and make it at home. Buy a reusable cup. It's going to be cheaper in the long run than going to Starbucks or Dutch Brothers. That adds up. And it's like, I can't believe it's just, people have gotten so used to convenience and instant gratification. They're not having to work for anything anymore. And I think that's what's adding to the financial illiteracy. They just spend. Like that one woman was saying, I like to spend.
Consolidation just about, and half is spending. That doesn't change the how do we pay it off in time if we do not get the closings, because you are putting yourself in such a risky position, essentially borrowing from your future self, but in a more extreme scenario. Because usually when people borrow from their future self, they borrow from a paycheck that is more confident to come because they already have a job that is giving out that paycheck on a consistent basis. But you're not. Your paycheck isn't necessarily due with luck, but you also do have the client side of it. If your client is not willing to sell at a certain price, and who knows what the real estate market is and going to be, you don't really know. You're putting a lot of risk on that.
I live on hope and faith in a dream, I guess.
Yeah, and
a
you
credit
have
card.
and you have a shit ton of debt, so that's not working. What's your investment account like today?
I'm curious on hope and dream that actually pays the bills. Yeah, you can hope and dream, but you got to be realistic.
30 years old?
Like my 401k is probably like $5,000 for $10,000.
So you're behind for 30.
Yeah.
Is the hope and dream working? You're behind.
I get a feeling she vision boards. If anyone knows what that is, I bet anything she tries to self-actualize. She actualizes her future. She's got her dream board with the things she wants to do. She's got herself as a girl boss in one, and a big house in another spot, and a cruise ship in another for trips and stuff, because she's gonna realize her future.
Not yet.
You have as much on one credit card as you have on your hopeful guessing high end of your retirement account. It's none of these are necessities. This is crazy. You go crazy on here. You go crazy.
I did tell you earlier that Amazon is my weakness.
I know.
So at least I was forthcoming.
Just imagine the return on your investment if you just put that money in stocks, a Moon savings account, and anything. It'd be just delicious. But instead, you're a moron.
We're fiscally irresponsible, and that's what we are here to try and fix. We want
that
your
is not how
advice.
this conversation is going to go. Stop trying to control this, okay? You little domineering freak. That is not how this is going to work. I am trying to learn about you.
Yes.
I get into your brain. We figure it out, and then we go through the finances, and then I get to learn about them based on the establishment that you set before of your personality, that I get to know about you and why you did the things. Guess what, special guy? I don't know if math teaches this, but when I look in your most recent month, I can't see what you spent in August. So yes, we're having a conversation about what last year looked like that got you into $70,000 of debt.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think the master's degree is going to solve that equation for you.
Of course he's got a master's degree. Of course he does. So besides that, I would not be shocked if a lot of his debt is student loans because he's got a master's degree. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to go back. I'm going to actually look for this episode with this guy on it. I would make predictions and say the guy is a master, so he's already effeminate. He's domineering, which means that she's probably a little more of submissive in their relationship. I bet he's got a lot of student loan debt. He's spending a lot of money. I bet anything, I would suspect that she's probably not the one that's spending as much. I think it's him that's doing the spending. Yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm going to find the episode with this couple. I am curious. I want to see if my predictions are correct.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about maybe the mistakes you made.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
So stop with the let's go into the documents then. I know we're going to go into the numbers that happened in the last month.
Okay.
Okay. So why the do you think it is okay to spend $120,000 in a year making 20 to 30?
Never said it was okay.
Then why'd you
said
do
it
it?
was fiscally.
No, that you chose to do.
Why did we do it? We were fiscally irresponsible.
That is not an answer. Why did you choose to do it? That is not your choice.
Well, obviously you're financially irresponsible because you're doing this show. A lot of Americans are financially irresponsible. Okay, strike that. Americans at one point, it's a generalization. Not every American is financially irresponsible. I think we all tend to have the ability to be financially irresponsible from time to time, making a purchase that we really shouldn't make. But that's almost a cope just to go, yeah, well, I'm financially irresponsible. I'm airheaded. I don't pay attention to things. It's a cope. No, you do pay attention to things. You just choose to ignore it. No, you're not a moron. It's just you don't look to actually better yourself in any kind of way. You're choosing to put yourself in the situation. You know it. You see it. You're not financially irresponsible. You're choosing to allow yourself to get into financial debt. And this is why the younger generation's so screwed. It's because part of it, not all of it, keep in mind, I'm not saying all of it. Part of it is that they're doing it to themselves. They think they got to take these trips. They think they've got to spend on all of this stuff. My parents worked jobs. They both worked. They struggled at times. Our evening meal was hamburger helper at a couple times a night. A couple times a week. It was low cost meals. And I grew up when I was born of my parents owning a house, buying a house. We moved to a different house and they were paying for it. Both were still working. Through their effort, through them being fiscally responsible, we ended up putting an actual in-ground pool in. We did take trips, but did we fly? Did we go to Disneyland and Universal and all this stuff? Well, yeah, we did. But it was the grandparents that flipped the bill, and we were kids. And it wasn't as expensive. It was still expensive back then. Nothing compared to nowadays. But family trips were on the road. Summer road trip. Hop into the vehicle, and the destination was set out in front of us, and we traveled to it. Enjoying the trip. That's why I don't like to fly. Besides the crashes and stuff that we saw and covered on Nerds Covering the News with Tiny, I'm used to driving. I'm used to traveling by road, seeing roadside attractions. With the vans that are out there, with the van culture, the van lives and stuff like that, but you can rent RVs. Fairly inexpensive that in the long run, if you don't have the money to then pay for hotels every single night of your trip, you can rent an RV for a reasonable price daily. Yes, you still have to pay for fuel, but you're already going to be paying for that. The more people you have traveling with you offsets the cost too, because they're paying for things as well. You take friends and you go with friends and stuff like that. They can be helping to pay for the gas bill instead of all of you having to pay your own plane ticket. there are ways to be able to at least do adventures, but not have to spend all this money. I just, it baffles me. I mean, I'm in a position where I'm at least in a good enough position that I could take more time off if I wanted to. I have the time off that I can take through my company with paid time off. I could go and take trips if I wanted to, but it would take away from me saving money for what I want to do in the future. Buy a place, buy a plot of land. Do I spend money frivolously? I can't talk. Sure, we all do from time to time. We do question a buy afterward, but we live with the consequences. Or if you have the ability going, you want to know what, I shouldn't have done that, you cancel that order or you return it. Sure, you're going to take a hit sometimes depending on it if they have a reshelving fee. But in the long run, it's a more minimal expense, and then use it as a learning experience. It's just, I don't know. I get frustrated to see so many people that have financial troubles when it's self-inflicted. Things that are not self-inflicted, you got to pay for fuel. Gas is up. Yes, gas is up, but you need that fuel because you need to get to work. I understand that that's a bill that it's affecting all of us. Food being up in price, sure, that affects everyone. It's a little outside of your control. But then examine, what are you buying food-wise? Could you go generic? Does it need to be a name brand? Are you going to like these resale places when it comes to food, the Aldis and whatnot? The ones that buy like the food that's close to expiration that these main chains can't sell, that they buy at a discount and then sell at a discount. You go to those places, you can get your food for cheaper. And it's still the same thing that you would have bought at Walmart or Target or a local grocery store, depending on where you are. There's ways to properly spend if you want to think about it and actually pay attention to it. Now, granted, a lot of people that are unemployed are paying a little bit more attention to their budget because, well, you want to know what? Money at that point is tight. The problem is the people that actually have employment are the ones that become more, I think, financially irresponsible, if you will, because they have an income and then they don't think twice about the spending. And you're only paying your minimum and you're not actually looking at your bill. You don't know that it's constantly going up. Now, don't get me wrong. I've made my own financial mistakes too. Everyone does. Everyone goes from time to time and makes a purchase and later regret it. Going, I really should not have done that. And you either live with that choice that you made or you return it. I'll admit, a lot of times I don't return it. I'll sit with that mistake and that purchase. I shouldn't have bought that item, but, well, I'm going to pay for it in the long run. I now need to rebudget and restructure of what I have for the week. I'm going to take some money out of my predetermined entertainment fund for the month, and it's going to go to cover that. I might be unable not to go to a movie that I wanted to go see. I may not be able to buy a couple movies that I had planned to. Or in the case of like on my shelf, I have some omnibuses. Okay, well, I'm going to have to put off buying an omnibus because I bought something, you want to know what, in the long run, I shouldn't have done that. So I'm going to adjust my budget. And that's what a lot of people, I think, don't do either. They don't actually budget. They don't look at what they're actually bringing in and what they're actually spending. And they're putting themselves in that situation. I think that's part of the self-infliction is people don't actually sit down and budget. Know what's coming in, know what they're spending on, how many apps or how many programs are out there that you can get that will then you log in with like you set it up, give it kind of access to kind of search through your purchase history and stuff like that. How many people are paying for accounts that they don't even fucking use anymore? Or don't even realize they have, but they're still pay or don't have and don't use, forgot about, and they're still paying on. Granted, that's how gyms get their money. People sign up for a membership, go use that membership a little bit, completely forget that they have that gym membership and are getting docked monthly for that gym bill because they stopped going and forgot that they were paying on it. And because it's auto deduction, I think that's the other thing that I think is also contributing to a lot of these problems is the auto pay. While luxury makes it easier, those that aren't budgeting completely forget about it. And it's more money that's coming out of their account that they don't even realize is coming out monthly because they've forgotten about it and they're not paying attention to their financing. They're not paying attention to what they're spending. They're not paying attention to those rolling monthly charges. Again, depending on what credit card company you have, if they have an app that you can look at, in the sense of Capital One, like I said, it shows reoccurring bills that are coming up. That's where you would track it and going, oh, well, crap, I still have an Xbox, an Xbox account. I haven't played Xbox in 3 months. Go cancel that. And you just saved yourself, what, $25 a month? That was going out on something you don't even use anymore? Fine. If you're going to play the games again, then go later and get the subscription again. But if you're not using it, get rid of it. It's the same philosophy I have with things around my place. Like I said, I live in a small apartment, and so I will sit here and I will look, and I kind of have guidelines for stuff that I have. If it's something that's expensive that I really haven't used very often, I put it in my storage unit. And then in a year or so, if I still haven't needed it or used it, I donate it off or I try to sell it. Clothes, I never sell. I always donate my clothes off. If it doesn't fit anymore, what's the purpose of it just sitting in a closet or a drawer anymore? If I haven't even worn it in like 2 years, why hold on to it? Give it off to a charity place. Give it off to a thrift store. Put it out there for someone else that's having financial problems that can then go and buy it at a lower price than buying brand new. But then clear the clutter out of your life. And then you're supporting other people that are financially struggling, then they can get decent clothes. Your life's not cluttered. I've made this comment before. I'm the unhealthiest I have ever been in the sense when it comes to my weight. Now, granted, I'm just not like I'm obese, but I am heavier than I like. And I do have some clothes that just don't fit anymore. What did I do? Once I lose the weight, I have a pile of clothes, if you will. If I don't get the weight down in the back to being able to fit it in the next couple months, I'm going to donate it off to give it to someone else. If I need to rebuy later, I'll rebuy later. But I'm now down 5 pounds. I started actually working towards getting my food in alignment, and I'm already down 5 pounds in about a week and a half. Not major numbers, but that is acknowledging bad behavior, bad eating, and acknowledging it and making that change to what I'm taking into my body. When I'm eating. It's the same thing when it comes to financing and financial literacy. Know what your income is and know what you're putting out. Are you buying garbage that you don't need, but do it out of habit? It's those that are constantly buying a coffee every morning. Well, if you like your coffee, you like that creamer, then go buy that creamer. Buy a coffee pot. Make it at home, buy a reusable cup. In the financial long run, you save money than spending that $8, $9, $10 a day on an expensive coffee that has no return on investment in the long run.
Fiscally irresponsible is not the answer. I want to know why the you did it. Self-assessment. Try to get any kind of reflection in your life.
Why did I do it? I don't necessarily have a great answer for it. I'm fiscally irresponsible.
Oh my gosh, buddy, that is not going to be an answer.
But that's why we racked up so much of this debt.
No,
because we spend money on dumb shit.
There we go. There's an attempt.
Stupid one-time purchases.
So what are you getting? This one-time purchases that you're able to justify for an entire fucking year, which will apparently never happen again in the rest of your life.
I never said that.
Okay, then why are we defending ourselves like it's just one-time purchases that'll never happen again?
Because certain one-time purchases will never be made again. I have already looked at
but they will be replaced with other one-time purchases.
That's what I don't want want to do is replace them.
But they always will.
But you say they always will. They don't necessarily have to always be.
With your discipline, if you choose to.
I know that's what I need to work on is my fiscal discipline.
Yeah, so let's learn about why you did those in the past. Tell me, what were you purchasing, dude? Instead of just saying I'm fiscally irresponsible and trying to move on. What the did you actually do?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't know we spent $70,000 a year. That's why I'm saying I don't know what these are.
Can you answer the question, guy? You don't need to sit here and try to look good.
I don't know what we spent that money on, the $70,000.
You can't reflect to 3 months ago.
$12,000.
You keep bringing up one-time purchases. Tell me about any of them.
Couches, one-time purchase.
Oh, he figured it out. He was able to get an answer. We got there 10 minutes later.
Couches, one-time purchase. TV, one-time purchase. All the stuff we've had to move
That's
in. That's
$70,000, couches and
That's
TV?
what I'm saying. I don't know what this $70,000 is. All the stuff we've had to move in. Plates, dishes.
You needed a TV to survive.
Well, we've had our TVs. But,
okay, so that wasn't it then.
Okay, so desks for...
My personal recommendation, and especially for like new couples and stuff like that, everyone needs to... You're either bringing something into the relationship anyway, whether it be pots, pans, plates, and you're combining anyway. You mean to tell me that neither one of them had plates when they moved in together? That already is a problem. But a lot of times when two people come together, form a relationship, get married, they're bringing their own stuff into the relationship. It almost sounds like, because he's just like, well, TV and a couch. Neither one of you had a couch. Neither one of you had furniture. A TV. I'm fairly certain that most people have TVs. I go and get a girlfriend and we start dating, and then it moves on to the next stage and we move in together, or we're engaged, or we're getting married. I've got TVs. She's got TVs. So why would another TV need to be made? So again, this is failure of spending on their part.
Her to sew.
But it's a one-time purchase. It's a one-time purchase.
Sewing machine for her to sew.
Okay.
So she can try and make some supplemental income when she's allowed to work.
How much have we made?
None so far, because I cannot work.
She's not allowed to make any money, whether it's cash or in the bank
Then maybe
account.
we shouldn't have purchased for something she can't
That's
do.
when she was allowed to work.
And did you make any money doing that?
No.
Okay, so bullshit. Keep going.
I don't even know what other one-time purchases could be. Lots of food, lots of, your passport doesn't really count because you had to get that. But going on vacation to Ocean City.
Yes, that is necessary for surviving and moving into a new place. This fucking guy. What are you talking about?
Technically that was before, but...
How would you talk about since fucking the unemployment? Because your entire... Let's frame back. Let's get to where this started. You specifically said, we are going to get out of debt when she gets income because everything's going to change because we got income. However, obviously, mathematically, you can do that part. You know that is not why you're in this debt.
Correct.
Because no amount of income she gets, unless she gets a 6-figure job, would make up for the kind of spending you guys did last year. So tell me what the fuck you guys were doing since she got unemployed.
Spending money on dumb shit. Also, I don't really
said it was just one-time purchases.
Also, I don't really have the money coming in to kind of...
Hey, how about you work like a fucking man then?
I am working. What the fuck do you mean?
You took 3 months off when she was unemployed.
I didn't take 3 months off.
It was summer break.
I worked over the summer.
What'd you do?
I work at CVS.
You said you weren't bringing in money. You would have been bringing in money if you were working at CVS.
They let me work 30 hours a week.
Okay,
30
so
hours a
that
week at
is
$19
money.
an
Then
hour.
don't say you didn't bring in money.
I never said that.
Did he not just say
I
he didn't make
never
money?
said that. No, I work at CVS while I work during school, and over the summer, they don't let me work full-time. They let me work 30 hours a week.
Who doesn't?
CVS.
Okay.
Because they can't transition me from part-time to full-time because of benefits.
But you pick up a second job somewhere else.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. Over the summer.
Last year. I don't give a shit about right now. We're still talking about...
Keep in mind, for those that are tuning in a little bit later, this guy went through a master's program and he has a master's degree. I really need to go back. I'm going to find the episode because this guy specifically is irritating, and I think I am curious to see what his master's actually is, because I have a feeling his master's degree is in something that's not going to actually translate into a career. Or if it does, it's already a very narrow field that is extremely, it's not even competitive in any kind of way. It is so locked down. There's no availability for even jobs to get into it. I need to go back and watch this specific episode.
Last summer, trying to follow along.
Yeah.
Why didn't you work a second job?
Because she was still working over the summer.
She got unemployed in August. Why didn't you pick up a second job?
In August.
Why couldn't you pick up a job in the evenings? You don't make enough
I
money.
work at CVS in the evenings.
It was CVS in the evenings.
I work at CVS.
Why are you working at CVS right now?
I am.
Why did you say that? That's what you do for a living. How am I able to give answers without a full picture?
Listen, to be fair, you cut me off after I said substitute teacher, and I never got to go back into that conversation.
How much do you make at CVS now?
It's about $19 an hour.
How many hours a week are we currently working?
During school, it's about 10 hours a week. I work there Mondays and Tuesdays after.
You can do more than that.
I work there Mondays and Tuesdays after school. They don't let you work Saturdays, Sundays. Sundays are only open for.
Are there other weekdays other than Monday and Tuesday?
Yes.
Might need to check your calendar.
I also have my schooling that I have to do.
Okay, and when does that take place?
I do my schooling Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
They don't let me work when I'm in when class at school's going on. He sounds like he's a freaking minor that has work requirements that he can't exceed because he's under the age of 18. I'm fairly certain CVS would give him more hours if he actually asked for them. Most companies do because it's a lot easier just to pay someone, even keeping them in a part-time status to fill slots, than actually have to.
I'm in online school.
When are the classes? What time?
It's all asynchronous. So I do it whenever I have time. There's no live lectures.
Oh, good. Okay, so you can work after school for a few hours.
Yeah, I do work. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if I come home at CVS, I usually get home 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to school. If I do my schooling after
so you're
that,
doing the thing that the rest of us have done all throughout life when we had to sacrifice, and maybe you get a little less sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, to pay the bills for your fucking wife, the roof over her head, since she doesn't have a choice to work. Yeah, you man up a little.
Okay, I completely agree. That's why I'm looking for.
Good, which is why you didn't do that.
That's why I'm looking.
I love
for
how this
second
guy's
jobs
just like,
right
we're gonna do this. Everything's gonna be good. This is one-time purchase. Everything's gonna be good in the future. You're right. I will do that. I'm here, guys. I was just financially insecure. How about that's not how this works. You don't just get out of a pushback by saying, "You're right. I'm just gonna do it." No, why weren't you? Because I can't just believe you're going to do something if you're just gonna say.
Because when I'm already working in school and I'm already working that second job for 2 of those days a week, the other 3 days I'm
CVS
doing
won't
schooling.
let you work on the weekend?
No.
Cool, go to McDonald's.
Why would I want to go work at McDonald's? Sure, $15 an hour.
Money?
Money? Yeah, money. I have schooling I have to do as well.
Okay, you didn't say that. You said Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Again, how am I able to have any kind of assessment if you refuse to answer a question sufficiently?
I am perfectly capable of working, but I don't want to work 7 days a week.
I don't give a fuck.
This is why I hate the highly educated class. See how he recoiled at working at McDonald's. It's a fucking paycheck. You're already having financial issues. You're going to school. You supposedly CVS won't actually allow you to work more hours while you're in school. You have Saturdays and Sundays free. And yet he recoiled by just saying, "We'll get a job at McDonald's." Well, that's below me. I can't work at McDonald's. That's below me. He probably would have recoiled at any kind of fast food recommendation, whether it be Taco Bell, Burger King, Long John Silver's. It really doesn't matter. I think any fast food, I guarantee you, thinks he's above ever having that job. And that's the other problem, too, with a lot of these individuals. We've seen this how many times these younger kids that are coming out of college expect to be immediately high paid in their field of education. It ain't happening. Yes, have a good night, Mr. Scott. Awesome. Yep, talk to you later. So, I mean, they expect they expect to be right into the position that they got the degree for and expect to get the high wage. Not realizing that, like everyone, you got to struggle from time to time. You're going to have to work crummy jobs to get to where you want to be as a job. You may have to start off at a very low paying job that maybe is in your field or adjacent to it, that you eventually will move up into that position. It's the entitled nature that the younger generation has that is coming out of college. And this has been happening, granted, for 10 plus years now. So it's not new. It's nothing new, but definitely the whole, well, I'm too good for McDonald's. I should have a job in my field because I went to college. It's not how real life works.
You want, you're
day.
under by $1,000 and you have a wife who can't work and it is not her fault.
Yeah, but I am not working 7 days a week
Yes, you
while I
are.
am in school.
Yes, you are.
I'm going to fail school. That's going to be more student loan money that I'm going to have
But
to
you
do.
said you did school Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You did not say Saturday and Sunday.
I do school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You did not say Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday. Okay, like maybe I could pick up a second job.
Yes, that's what I just said. That's literally what I just said.
That's what I'm trying to do for the summer right now. I'm applying to jobs currently.
Not for the summer. I'm saying
Okay, if they hire me now, I'll do it. But I'm applying
you can
for these
say
jobs.
so many. You can run the rest of this conversation of, yes, you're right. I will do that. I want to know why you didn't do it because I will have no faith. It's just like someone who comes on, has all this debt and says, you know, I'm just going to pay it off in the next year. By the way, that's exactly what they just said earlier in the conversation. How can I have any kind of belief in that if you have not been doing that? That is why I am trying to ask questions as to why you are not doing something so we can diagnose and find a way to get you to actually do it in the future. The answer of, oh, I was just financially insecure and I'm not going to be. That's not a f***ing answer, buddy. You do not get anywhere in life with that.
So why I didn't work?
Yes, why you're not working on Saturdays and Sundays.
Because I'm lazy. That's my time to recuperate from the week.
Great.
Could I have done
You married
better?
a lazy man
Could I
who's
have
not
done-
willing to keep the roof over
Could
her
I
head.
have done
How does
better?
that feel?
She has a roof over her head, actually.
For now. Keep going $1,000 in the negative every single month. We'll see how long that lasts. You married a lazy man. How does that feel?
I don't think he's lazy.
Really?
I think he's okay.
He's not willing to work Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I think he should take a break as well.
You don't want the bills paid.
But he doesn't work on Mondays either. So Monday could be his free day and then work a job on the weekend. A lot of jobs open for part-time when it comes to weekend work because, again, more people are out doing things, which means higher volumes. Your Monday through Friday 9-to-5ers they have their weekend off, which means they're out shopping and doing all of that stuff and eating at restaurants. It's like, why can't you just get a job?
He does pay the bills, but I think
You are under by $1,000 and debt is going up and we're at the $70,000 since you went unemployed. What are we talking about? You're going further in debt. That's not paying the bills. Do we know what paying the bills are? I'm a little concerned that both of you do not know what paying the bills are. Which makes me a little nervous for the future of this conversation. Going in debt is not paying the bills. We do realize this, right? That is actually additional bills now?
Yeah, but he is working 2 jobs and going to school, so I do not think he's lazy.
He is not making enough when he has time to go make more money, and he is choosing not to. And he just said, because I'm lazy. That was his own words. He literally just said he was lazy.
Be me, Betty, 52 years old, HR director at major tech
That is not
corporation.
what I wanted, but so I'm not going to get into the second video because I did not expect that one to take an hour and a half, and that's because I had to expound on it a little bit. So the next episode, we're going to cover into the rage bait video. That's actually kind of what was starting. That these AI voices, granted, reading the text from posters. I started watching them and I'm like, this has got to be rage bait because by about halfway through, I am just fuming. And then seeing the situation, if they're being honest, how these bosses aren't canning them. So that's going to be the next episode of All the Good Titles We're Taking. We're going to watch one of those videos. Otherwise, that's it for this show. I mean, we went 30 minutes past. I like to keep this about an hour of a show, but you want to know what? We were a little longer today. But coming up, there will be no insert title here on Saturday at 7 p.m. PST because it is going on hiatus with a possible return in the summer. Then on April 4th, that Saturday, we have a brand new show starting, and it is called Sensor Logs, and we are going to start right from the beginning watching the original series of Star Trek from the very first pilot of The Cage. And then we're going to go right down the line watching the show. We're going to talk about trivia of the episode, facts about the episode, might play a little bit of trivia in there, revolving around Star Trek in general. We're going to watch the original series. Then we're going to get into Next Generation. Then we're going to go Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and then end on Enterprise. We may slide in one of the movies from time to time, but that's kind of the plan for that show. Then on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. PST, back on this channel is Nerds Covering the News. And I am working on another project to be starting on Wednesdays. After Sensor Logs podcast starts up, we will be doing a Battlestar Galactica watch along on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. PST. Tiny But Fierce has never seen the remake of Battlestar Galactica, so I'm going to expose her to the remake of the 1979 classic Battlestar Galactica, the one done and re-envisioned by Ronald D. Moore, who actually was a writer and producer on Next Generation of 2 of the movies and Deep Space Nine. So that'll be coming up probably 2 weeks after we start Sensor Logs podcast. And the other co-host of Sensor Logs podcast is going to be Jerry. Anyone that's interested, if you've never seen a Star Trek episode before, or you have and want to be involved in an upcoming episode, just DM me any of them that you are interested in, message me, and we can slot you in on any episodes that you know that are coming up that you are interested in either watching for the first time or being involved in the discussion. Let's see. Then we will be back here next Thursday at 6 p.m. PST for the next episode of All the Good Titles Were Taken. If you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, please do. Also hit the subscribe, follow buttons, depending on where you're watching from. The video we watched tonight, the links are in the description for the show, so go and check that out. And if you like what's going on over there and like these clips coming from the Financial Audit with Caleb Hammer, watch some of them, give them a follow. Otherwise, I am your host, Drunken Emerald Arrow. We will see you next time. Have a great rest of the evening and rest of the week, because we're almost to the weekend. Take it easy, and we will see you next time.